So, Fuck to Start With is the title of my book, and it's basically something that I've thought about ever since I'm a little boy. Like, basically, you're like, fuck to start with. Like, you've dealt with this really fucked up deck of cards, and what do you do with it? How do you put it into a positive way? So, my book is 17 short stories. Basically, each one is about a female or male protagonist character who is basically going through a really fucked up period of their life and how they make it through the other side. Sometimes they don't make it through. I mean, a lot of people die in the book, a lot of people OD, a lot of people kill themselves. It's not necessarily like a happy-go-lucky thing.
So what drew you to actually write this book?
I try to take weird, fucked up things that happen and turn them into like little mini-movies in my head and make light of them and turn them into entertainment and kind of look at them like, why did that happen to me? Like, why did I go through that? Is there any positive from it?
So what did you come up with?
That I have led a very colorful survivor life, and that I'm supposed to inspire and influence people to not give up and to kind of like keep going. And you never know what's going to happen if you keep doing things. I wrote my book like 10 years ago, and I threw it away, and I didn't show it to anybody. And then this thing called Facebook happened, so I started putting short stories up on Facebook, and I'm kind of a Facebook whore. Like, people love me on social media, so I have a big following.
Can you say one of your stories?
I put one up called Head in a Hello Kitty Bag.
Let's hear.
And it was basically about a girl who cuts her boyfriend's head off, and he doesn't die, he stays alive, his head, and she puts it into her Hello Kitty bag, and she's traveling around with it. And he doesn't realize until the very end that he's a head in a Hello Kitty bag. So, like, stories like that, positive, or like Children of the Rave, which is about 4 like underage raver girls who like spend their time like figuring out what party to go to, how to score their drugs, blah 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 blah. Then there's a story called This Is Not a Love Story, which is about a girl named Sally Seashell, and she works at Aqueduct, and she's the pretzel stand girl, and she spends all day betting on horses and dealing with her Uncle Morty, and like typical like angsty kids. And there's another story called Beer Shaped Heart, and that's kind of a story about me and growing up as a high school kid who was gay and in the closet, and how I got out of the closet and got sober, stuff like that.
So that's what that means when you say survival, huh?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, definitely been through a lot of crazy stuff. I was in a coma 3 times last year and almost died, and like, I've had definite near-life death experiences.
So I see the connection with you and Joel now.
Kind of, yeah. Although I met Joel through my ex-boyfriend, who is the reason there was a lot of angst in my life for a long time, and he didn't torture Joel. Joel didn't allow him to torture him the way he could have, but he definitely brought angst into his life and could have brought a lot of trouble because of drugs and stuff like that, but somehow or another his survivor mode set in, and Will was not allowed to be in the house any longer.
Cool.
So he could go do his drugs in his own house. Yeah, my ex-boyfriend is like a muse of mine who's very prominent in the last 5 years of my work. A lot of my poetry is about him. He's on the cover of my book. He's like, he's everywhere. And he's literally the person that almost killed me. So like, so many ways, like, I treasure him and value him, but on a lot of other ways, he could have been the end of my life.
So it's like a love-hate thing, huh?
It was a total love-hate thing. It was the most painful, beautiful love story I've ever been involved in my life. And now that it's over, I feel as if I can actually go on with my life. Because he was like this big distraction. It was like I had on blinders.
So you've actually closed that chapter?
It's done.
It's
oh
done.
my God, it's over. Yeah. But
Okay.
I'll never not live with it because it's reminded on my head. It's reminded like all over me. I live with like the mental and physical scars of this person for the rest of my life. So he's in me. No matter how far away he may be, he's always going to be there.
I see. And, well, read us a piece out of your book.
I'll read whatever I open up to. All right.
Wherever you open up to, let's get your passion.
The bathroom is a claustrophobic, pink, fuzzy den of iniquity, ruled by the constant drone of an ardently breaking down boiler. Its trapped confines are only slightly relieved by a huge poster of a leather-clad Brigitte Bardot peering over an extra-large Harley that is hung with much conviction straight above the toilet. A pink plastic poodle that once held bathtub bubble-making agents is carelessly thrown in the corner, the side of its head slightly melting against the tropical-like heat oozing out of one of the hissing radiators. A mirrored disco ball spins endlessly, hung in the center of the living room like a retro chandelier. Each ashtray is filled to the brim with pink lipstick-stained cigarette butts and roaches. A dayglow green lizard-skinned suitcase is open in the middle of the room, full of silk panties, gingham and vinyl bras, and an odd assortment of Barney underpants for little boys. Heidi looked around her apartment, stretched out on the couch. As she deeply sighed, letting out a long, leisurely breath, Heidi knew that everything around her made complete sense, and she would never really feel comfortable anywhere else.
Okay. So what are you working on? What's
My
your
next book is
project?
about a time in the future when 16-year-olds outnumber every other age group of mankind, and the 16-year-olds in certain sections of the country start to take over and literally start to like just take what they want and become the ruling class. And what ends up happening is some of the 16-year-olds discover that they have kind of morphed into these other kind of beings that are not quite like human beings. And they start to use their power, but every time they use their power, it slightly kills them and sets them back like about 3 notches. So they're blessed with all this incredible gifts and skill that they can't really use because it like literally destroys them every time they use it. So they're trying to find a way to survive in this world that is increasingly becoming chaotic, and that teenagers and people who haven't quite matured yet are the ruling class, and that older people and everything like that just kind of are lost in the shuffle. So that's what I'm writing about now.
Okay, I'm going to ask you what. So, as an artist, so what does the future look like to you in your
For
words?
what I do,
Just in your words, the future itself.
I don't know. I'm very obsessed with light, so I'm constantly looking at the way light hits things and the way light breaks on the pattern on the wall, or like in my apartment through different stages of the day. So I base a lot of my thinking based around what the light is going to be. And I kind of like see the future being very like about a beauty of stillness and a beauty of like the way people perceive the light around them, and taking the time out to not be so distracted by everything, and actually appreciating the way like at 5 o'clock a certain color will become a different color on the wall in front of you, and like to be able to take the time to notice those little gradual changes that kind of like slip by us so quickly now because we're so distracted by everything. That's kind of what I'm looking at as the future.
I like that. I like
Okay.
that. Do you have a website or what?
Yeah, it's waltcessna.tumblr.com.
Okay.
So it's WALTCESSNA.TUMBLR.com.
I got you.
And I have 20,000 pictures posted there that are all based on my art.
Okay.